A black capstone flashes like a trapped star. Sharp edges, mirror polish, and an origin nobody can agree on. Was it hammered out by human hands or fallen from the sky? Tonight on Echoes of Time we unravel the Benben, the black Pyramidion that made the sun itself look twice. Follow now and climb with me. Welcome back to Echoes of Time. Tonight we climb to the very tip of an ancient idea. The Benben, a sacred capstone that crowns pyramids and obelisks and has teased myth and science for millennia. Some call it a symbol. Some call it a miracle. We will look at the legends, the lab results, and the stoneworking that could make the impossible possible. Let's begin. Myth, meaning, and the Benben idea. The name Benben comes from Heliopolis, an ancient center of solar worship. Priests taught that the world began as dark water, and then a first mound rose from that chaos, the Benben. It was the place where sunlight first touched the earth. Over centuries, Egyptians translated that cosmology into objects. Obelisks, pyramid apexes, and small capstones called pyramidions. Those capstones were more than decoration. They were theology carved into geometry, meant to catch the morning light and announce a king's rebirth with the sun. The black capstone that provokes questions. Archaeologists have recovered several pyramidions and fragments. Granite, basalt, diorite, sometimes with traces of gold or electrum. But talk online and in some fringe circles centers on a different claim. A black stone so unlike ordinary bedrock that some suggest it is meteoritic iron. The idea is seductive. After all, ancient Egyptians worked meteoritic iron for objects like beads, and even Tutankhamun's dagger shows possible sky metal. If a Benben came from a meteorite, it would be a fitting stone of heaven for a cult that worshipped the sun. What the science actually shows. Here's the careful truth. Most pyramidion fragments tested by archaeologists are terrestrial rock. Hard igneous stones like granite or andesite. They are difficult to shape, yes, but not impossible. Meteoritic iron does show up in some royal objects, but it leaves a distinct chemical signature. High nickel content and crystal patterns you can see under a microscope. To date, no broadly accepted study has shown that a pyramidion is a meteoritic mass. The sky stone claim is fascinating, but not proven. That doesn't make the legend less meaningful. It simply separates theology from material science. How did they cut such hard stone? A common reaction is, you can't cut granite with bronze. The Egyptians used clever methods, not miracle metal. Stoneworkers used dolerite pounders, extremely hard basalt hammers, to batter an outline. For finer shaping they used copper saws or chisels with abrasive sand. Imagine a wet sand slurry between stone and copper acting like thousands of microscopic cutting edges. Bow drills, tubular bits, and emery compounded the process. Polishing used successive grades of abrasive until the surface shone. The work was slow, strenuous, highly organized, and surprisingly precise. Precision and geometry. How did they keep angles consistent across faces? They used geometry. Set squares, plumb lines, leveling boards, and chords marked out slopes. Craftsmen measured with repetitive templates and trial surfaces. The Egyptians were experts at proportional systems, repeated units measured by cubits, marked on rods and chords, so a slope could be repeated across a large stone and across many stones. The result looks impossibly exact to us because we don't always imagine the measurement systems they had. The mirror finish and shimmer. That polished, almost mirror finish is a finishing ritual. After smoothing, artisans used finer and finer abrasives, often with water, until the stone reflected light. In some periods craftsmen applied thin leaf of electrum or gold to capstones, so the first glint of sunrise would literally flash gold across the desert. That optical effect was theology and propaganda in one. The sun god's light reclaimed daily on the tomb of a king. The inscriptions and ritual. Pyramidion faces often carry hieroglyphs, solar discs, and protective cobras. Scribes laid out grids and carvers followed strict guidelines. The inscriptions were part dedication, part spell. They invoked gods, named kings, and scripted the king's ascent with the sun. The Pyramidion thus served as a ritual text in stone placed at the highest point of the monument, a physical prayer to the sky. Meteorite versus mastery. Why the debate persists. The meteorite idea persists for good reasons. It is evocative. It ties a religious metaphor to a tangible sky object. But archaeology prefers replicable evidence. Compositional analysis, isotopes, and contextual excavation. Until a pyramidion is tested conclusively and shows meteoritic chemistry, most specialists favor human skill over cosmic import. That said, the existence of meteoritic iron artifacts in Egypt keeps the conversation alive and underlines the Egyptians' awe of the sky. The lost original Benben. Finally, the original cult Benben from Heliopolis is lost to us. We have texts that praise it, descriptions of ritual, and other tangible capstones. But the object, the mythic stone that first embodied creation, vanished in time. What we see now are echoes, pyramidions, obelisks, and fragments that preserve the idea but not necessarily the original artifact. What the Benben teaches us. So what do we take away? The Benben is both story and technology. It reminds us that ancient people built meaning into material. Whether a capstone fell from the sky or was hammered out by patient hands, it was meant to catch light and memory. The real wonder may be that humans translated a myth of creation into geometry, metal and stone. If this intrigued you, follow Echoes of Time for more investigations where myth meets method. Until next time, keep looking up and keep asking questions.